Hey, what's up guys? Today's video is going to be a follow-up to the Fordite ring I did a couple of weeks back, and I'll show you to this camera here. I've got all of these shavings, and when I was cutting the ring down originally and I saw the shavings coming off of it, I just instantly knew that these were just a lot more special than just your average everyday shavings. They're super colorful, they got all the stripes on them. So I was able to save them. I was super careful not to get them contaminated or anything like that. And so I've got them set aside here. And what I thought would be cool, and I even kind of shared the idea with you in the first video I did with the Fordite, would be to cast it in resin. And so what we're going to do today is I've got these molds here, silicone, and they're circular, so we shouldn't have much waste, and that's important because I don't have a lot of shavings. So we're going to do a couple of different castings of this, and what I want to experiment with in this video especially is adding some black dye to it. And so I'll do one casting where it's just clear resin. I think that'll be nice and it'll show off the Fordite really well. But if it's not super densely packed in there, we might have a lot of clear spots that if you just see straight to your finger, that can be a cool effect, but I'm going to try to avoid it for this ring specifically. And so I'm going to experiment with adding just a teeny little bit of black dye to it. That should still let it be see-through so that we can still see a lot more of the Fordite detail and maybe even see some of the spirals. But it's just going to give it kind of like a smoky tint to it. And so I'll experiment with the amount that I add of this. But this should be a really fun ring and I'm excited to get into it. So I've got all my resin supplies. I've got the Alumilite here that I'm going to weigh out, mix it all up, add the dyes to it. I'll use my silicone mold release to make sure that it comes out of our mold really easily. And then of course I'll be using the vacuum chamber, which you can see I've got a new one here that we can see through for filming. So that should be cool. You'll be able to see the bubbles and all of that. So this will be a lot of fun. Let's get into it. Okay, I've got my mold here. I'm gonna spray a little bit of mold release, and I've also got this. Here's another mold. I'm gonna put any excess I have in here, and over the next few months or so, however long it takes to fill up, I'm just gonna put whatever I have extra and just dump it in here. And at the end of it, maybe we'll make a ring out of it and see just how crazy it is. It'll probably be a really weird ring, so it'll probably make for a fun project. Okay, so I just had my scale break on me. I have no idea how or why it would break. It doesn't have any moving parts, so that's weird. I tried a bunch of brand new batteries, so I do not know why that died. Luckily, I have this backup right here, but it's a really accurate scale and it's designed for really small amounts of weight, so it maxes out at 20 grams. So we are going to be limited to 20 grams on each half of resin that we do. So I might have to do a couple individual batches, so I've got more cups for that. So I'm just going to get right into it, and hopefully we'll be able to get enough resin by only using 20 grams per side. All right, so I've got the two halves of resin mixed up, and that 40 grams, it's 40 grams total, so 20 grams for each. It was actually quite a bit, so I think this will be enough. It's going to be close, but we can always mix up another batch if we need to. And so I guess this will work as a good backup scale in case of emergency, so that was good. So I'm ready to go ahead and start casting these, and I've pre-mixed this so the clock is kind of ticking, so I want to be a little bit fast with how I'm doing it. So I'll just grab a couple of shavings, put it in there. What I'm worried with, I don't want all the shavings to either get smashed at the bottom or to just be floating at the top. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in a couple of shavings, pour on some resin, and then add some more, and then just repeat that process. Also, this resin is really thick and goopy. It's because the B side on it is actually past its best by date, but I found that if I use a vacuum pump to get rid of all the bubbles and anything, it actually still works just as good, at least for these prototyping rings. And so rather than waste it, I'm just trying to use up the rest of it. All right, we've got the second one finished. Now I'm going to add just a little bit more dye, and we'll do our third and final casting. All right, I've got everything casted. I'm going to pour all of the excess into my excess tray here. And I've had this out for quite a while now, so I need to get this in the vacuum chamber as soon as possible. And then that'll get rid of all the bubbles. We should be left with some really nice castings. All right, I'll give this about 10 minutes, and once we're done, I'll just need to let it harden over the next few hours, and we'll be ready to machine these. All right, it's now been a day. Everything should be fully cured. Time for the moment of truth. I'll let the pressure out. That looks good. I don't see any bubbles. The resin looks nice. There's a little bit of fogginess on top of the resin, and I think that should hopefully just be on the top of it. I think what that may have been is I opened the lid to this before the resin was completely hardened, and so some condensation got in and maybe messed up that top layer. I don't think it'll be very deep. I'm gonna pull these out. Here, I'll get this out of the way. Ooh, this is the funnest part. Ooh, this one's looking nice. This one I was worried I did too much black dye to the point where it's going to be too opaque. But I think this is just what I'm wanting, something that's really dark. But obviously this one in the middle might be kind of the best of both worlds. Ooh yeah, this one looks good. See that? It's just kind of a surface level imperfection. We can sand right through that. And then underneath, we've got perfect crystal clear resin. This one will look nice, I think. It's see-through enough that you can see, like if I make a ring out of this, you'll still be able to see my skin underneath, but just barely. That way it has some good, nice dark color to it, but we're still able to see all of the Fordite. And then here's just the clear. Oh yeah, that one looks good too. This one looks cool. It's almost just like a pendant or a keychain or something. You can imagine, like maybe if I had like a spherical casting shape, I could do one of these and just have it be just kind of like a desk piece. That looks pretty cool. All right, so I'm super happy we were finally able to get good results with these, and let's go ahead and cut into them and get some rings made. Okay, so I've got all three of the blanks roughed out, got them cleaned up, and now I'm ready to start boring them out. So I'll start with the smallest one, and I'm just going to use my boring bar that I've got right here to bore it out, and I just need it to fit on one of the 3 expanding ring mandrels I've got here. And by the way, if you didn't know this, I say in a lot of my videos, I sell these on my supplies website, so there's a link to that in the description. You can check it out. We just got this kit, which makes it super easy to make rings. So I'm going to start with the clear one. This is the smallest one. Need to be a little careful because there's not a lot of room for error on it, but especially when you're working with something that's just like a pure resin like this is, it's usually not that tricky to machine, so we should be ready to go. All right, I've got the 3 blanks prepared, all hollowed out. Now I need to do the outer diameter of them. So I've got my expanding ring mandrel here ready to go for this one. And then I'm gonna use my medium-sized one for both of these 2. So once I cut this down to the diameter that I need, I'm going to sand it up, polish the outside, and then I'll switch over to the jaws again, and then I'll finish up the inside of the ring. All right, we've got the 3 rings ready for the final polish. This is the moment of truth. Let's go for it. So like always, I've got my white medium polish on the left. This is going to get rid of any and all imperfections, just completely smooth it out, but it won't leave it very glossy. So that's what we'll use the next step, the green polish, for. And I'm being careful not to hold it to the wheel for too long because you can melt the material and kind of mess up the finish. All right, so far so good. The rings are looking really good. Now let's give them their final polish. All right, let's wash these up and we'll get some final photos for you. All right guys, here they are. I just got them cleaned up. They're looking good. And while I was making these, when I had them just in their disc form, I did a poll on my Instagram to see which one you guys liked the best. And the most common response was this one right here, the black one. And I can definitely see why. It's got a lot of really cool contrast. The Fordite on it definitely pops when you can see it. But once I got them machined into rings, the most common one that people liked was actually the clear one here. And so I can definitely see why just once it's machined down into a ring, it just kind of looks completely different and it has just, you know, completely separate properties. but I think they all turned out nicely. The black one, obviously, like I said, it's got tons of contrast, looks really cool and interesting. The smoke, or the kind of tinted one, looks really nice as well. It's see-through enough that you can see just the complete ribbons of the Fordite, and especially just like right here. I think that looks really cool. So that one, really fun and interesting. And then of course clear, that just showcases just straight up the Fordite, and I just love it too. So it's kind of tricky. Usually when I make like 3 rings just like this, there's usually a definite favorite, but I can totally see why anyone would like either of the 3. So yeah guys, that's the video. If you want to see these available on the website, let me know. They'd kind of be a little bit tricky to produce because I don't know if we can make enough shavings to be able to handle the amount of rings we'd need to make from it. So we'll have to figure that out, but we can. And so if you're interested, let us know in the comments. And then also the third Fordite ring video idea that I had would just be to combine it with something cool, like maybe just pure gold or meteorite, just something as a liner that would reinforce it a little bit better. And I wasn't thinking I'd cast the shavings, it'd be just solid chunk of Fordite like I did in my first video. So let me know what you think about that. Or if you guys are getting tired of these videos, I totally understand. I don't need to make another one. But yeah, I'm super open to your guys' feedback. I just want to know what you guys have to say. But other than that, I just want to thank you guys for watching. I'll be hanging out in the comments, so if you've got any feedback or suggestions for me, let me know. I'll be replying to a bunch of you guys. Also, if you're interested in ordering a ring, as always, I have my website that's available in the description. And if you're interested in making rings, I have my supplies website. So that's just patrickadairsupplies.com. That's in the description as well. And then Instagram, like I said, I'm super active over there. You heard me earlier saying that I did that poll there. I just like interacting with you guys over there. It's a lot of fun. And I also do like giveaways and promotions and things like that. So make sure to follow me there. But other than that, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in next week's video.